The big, beefy, and boisterous Mike Trout, putting the Angels on his back like JanSport Thursday night. 34 DK fantasy points, a pair of two-run taters. I believe he drove in all of LA's offense in that 4-1 victory over the Mariners. His teammate and fellow superstar Shohei Ohtani, bottom of the screen there, throwing 6 scoreless, extending his hitting streak to 11 games. These go to 11. Name that movie, Garion Thorne.
This is Spinal Tap.
Yeah, my man. I love that about you. Also love the fact that Erik Halterman is here from RotoWire. Let's start with some DFS. We got 12-game Friday slate. It's jam-packed. Favorite high-priced hitter on the slate. Wait, no, mound. Got to start on the mound. Who are you giving the ball to on the mound, Garion?
I know, I'm also very distracted by your jersey.
Oh, dude, sorry. All right, you uncultured swine. It's a sweater. This is an NHL sweater, okay? That's what they're called.
I'm the Canadian one, so yeah, that was probably pretty bad on my part. Carlos Rodón. Let's talk about Carlos Rodón. He's $9,900 tonight. The returns haven't been as great the past month as they were back in April, granted, but his overall numbers are still fantastic this season. He's got a strikeout rate above 30%. He's got a 2.58 FIP. He's been amazing. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have not been amazing, especially when it comes to hitting the baseball. They've been absolutely terrible the past 14 days, just a 71 WRC plus. And they've also been awful against left-handed pitching specifically. They've got an 86 WRC plus against southpaws for the season as a whole. That is the 3rd worst mark in baseball. They strike out more than enough to make Carlos Rodón a prospect to maybe even hit double-digit strikeouts tonight. So I think below 10K, albeit just below 10K, I'm going to go with Carlos Rodón.
All right, who is your man on the mound, Easy E?
Yeah, there's 2 lefties at the top of the slate who I like a lot tonight. I'm glad Garion talked about my second favorite in Rodón there, so that I get to talk about Tarik Skooble at $9,000, who I like basically just as much and comes $900 cheaper. Skooble, I really liked early in his career. I liked some things about him, but he had a serious fly ball problem. He was striking guys out, didn't walk too many guys, but just gave up way too many homers. He's been increasingly featuring a sinker, though, which has corrected that flaw. So his strikeout rate of 27.6% this year is in line with those strong career numbers. But his ground ball rate is suddenly a strength, up at 47.3%, and he stopped walking guys, just 4.4% there. He's now a very strong all-around pitcher. His 2.71 ERA pretty much is right in line with the midpoint of his ERA estimators. He is a legitimate frontline starter these days. Struggled last time out against the Blue Jays, but I think you can give a guy a pass against a lineup like that, especially when he had an ERA of 160 over his previous 7 starts. I think he looks a lot more like that guy this time out against the Rangers team that sits just 22nd in team WRC+.
All right, well, you got a high-priced hitter. Now we can go there on this slate, Erik. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm not going to go quite to the top, but at 4,600, Kyle Schwarber is a guy I like a lot. He's a guy who gets really scary when he's hot, as we saw at times last year, and as we're seeing right now. Had just stayed 95 WRC plus through May 29th, but since then, a 220 WRC plus. That's 16 games in which he's homered 8 times, scored 17 runs, drove in 15 more, striking out at a league average clip over that stretch while walking nearly 19% of the time. Schwarber is one of the best hitters in the league when he's on his game, and he is right now. I think he should remain that way against Paulo Espino, who's got a 2.08 ERA this year, but it's been mostly in relief for his career of 4.13 ERA. He is nothing special. Nobody you have to be scared of with a guy like Schwarber when Schwarber's hitting like he is right now.
Yeah, he was the second leading scorer on the DFS slate last night, so 32 points, 2 behind Mike Trout there. Garion, who's your high-price hitter tonight, dude?
Yeah, I'm not going to get too complicated here. Just going to go with Manny Machado against a left-handed pitcher at Coors Field. I think there's ways you could save. I think Schwarber's a really nice play. Someone like Teoscar Hernandez against a left-handed pitcher. He's been heating up recently and is less than 5K, but Arenado has been so good against left-handed pitching, really throughout the entirety of his career, but specifically this season as well. He's got a 323 ISO and a 410 WOBA within the split so far in 2022. And, no real fault of Kyle Freeland, who's been perfectly fine, like the dictionary definition of average this season. But When he pitches at Coors Field, he's got a 5.35 ERA. So I think there's going to be some runs scored tonight. You happen to take a look at the over-under there on the DraftKings Sportsbook. They also think there's going to be some runs scored in this game tonight. So I'll take Manny Machado.
Okay, yeah, went 3 for 5 in a win over the Cubs yesterday. $200 more expensive tonight compared to yesterday at $6,100 there. What about a value play? Who's the best value play in your opinion, Garion?
So I don't know what the White Sox do in their minor league system, but they seem to just bred guys who can hit left-handed pitching exceedingly well, even though you don't really think of them too much as a household name. Jake Berger's been day-to-day, but it seems like reports are he's going to be back in the lineup tonight, and his numbers are staggering against left-handed pitching this season. He's going up against a good one in Framber Valdez, who does not give up a lot of home runs or extra base hits. That's something to keep in mind. But Berger's just $3,500. He's probably going to be hitting in the middle of this White Sox lineup if he is available tonight. He's hitting .400 against left-handed pitching so far this season. No player in the American League with at least 40 plate appearances against Southpaws has a higher expected WOBA within the split than Jake Berger at 534. He's a couple points ahead of Mike Trout. So Jake Berger against lefties is a pretty good way to go.
What do you got for value, Erik?
I'm going to go back to that same Phillies Nationals game. Talk about Lane Thomas at 3,200. He had really struggled through the end of May. A 61 WRC plus, wasn't earning regular playing time. But since the start of June, he's turned things around dramatically, hitting 327, 407, 615. And you always like him when he's against a lefty, which he'll be against here. Bailey Falter called up to start the second game of this doubleheader. Career 5.18 ERA, mostly in relief. Doesn't walk guys, but doesn't really do anything else. Thomas for his career, 897 OPS against lefties versus a 674 OPS against righties. He's one of those cheap lefty mashers who should hit at the top of the order here that you really like rounding out a lineup when you get that matchup against a pretty easy southpaw, which he'll have here.
All right, guys, we got less than 2 minutes to go in the show. Last question here. We'll take you to the DK Sportsbook. So, Erik, hook me up with your favorite run line, money line, or run total bet tonight.
Let's go White Sox plus 140 at the Astros. That line looks fair if you think that the White Sox record is a complete reflection of their talent, but I don't think it is. They've been underperforming this year. They're not this mediocre. They got Lucas Giolito on the mound, who has technically 2 poor starts in his last 3, but he struck out 8 batters in each of those bad starts. I think he's still Lucas Giolito. I think he's better than Framber Valdez, despite Valdez having a better ERA. I think this should be a lot closer to a coin flip, maybe plus 110 for the White Sox. I think plus 140 is far too much.
Gary Bear, bring us home, dude.
I'm looking at the total in the Cardinals-Red Sox game. It just seems really high. It's up at 10. And while I respect both of these offenses, I just think it's too big a number. I'm going to take the under at minus 115. St. Louis specifically has been a lot better against left-handed pitching than they have been against right-handed pitching, where they're a little bit more middle of the pack in 2022. And also, Michael Wacha and Adam Wainwright have just been really good so far this season. Some of the ERA estimators don't love them as much as just their baseline ERA, but there's nothing really that stood out as a major red flag for either of those two guys. They both come in with an ERA below 3 in this contest. Michael Wacha has been amazing at Fenway Park. He's got a .86 ERA pitching in Boston so far this season, while Adam Wainwright has a 2.16 ERA across his last 7 starts. So I think you've got 2 solid pitchers going to the mound here. Maybe the fact that Yadier Molina's on the IL scares some people off of this, but I just think this number's too high.